It's only on me. So, what do you have to say? Yes?
How old are you?
48.
Where do you think you're going to be in 20 years?
Dead.
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 From what?
Well, if nothing gets me before that time, lung cancer.
Do you think anybody will care?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if they're still alive. If they're not alive, then no. Nobody will care. I'll be dead and invisible.
Do you have any idea what happens to you after you die?
Yeah, I do.
Or is that it?
No, it's not it. I mean, it's it as far as like the changes and effects that I have, but my echo will remain.
Okay.
Yeah, and that depends. I mean, the importance of my echo or the the magnitude of the echo depends on the existence of the human species. Because if the
Uh,
human species disappears, then my echo just goes into the frog void.
Assuming you're wrong and you're alive at 68,
Uh-huh.
what do you think you'll be doing?
Painting dead people.
So what am I supposed to call you?
Rabbitslayer.
Rabbitslayer.
Yes. Thank you, Mom.
You're welcome.
I
So
appreciate respecting my privacy.
respecting your what?
My privacy up until 2 weeks before the election,
Okay.
where if I have my rabbit army assembled, I'll reveal my real name that will have to be written in.
So right now, I should call you Rabbitslayer.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it is established that I'm your mother.
I think so.
Yes.
All right.
So
this is my mother. We will call her Mother.
Okay. And I have a concern sometimes because I don't want to ask you questions. I'm sure you don't want me to ask you questions that you know I know the answer to. But I'm curious.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really enjoy where you are living right now and how you are living?
Considering my options, yes.
You do enjoy it.
Yeah. It's. I know it's unusual.
What do you miss most?
About having my own house.
Yes.
Control.
Control.
Yeah, it's my space.
But you have a space right now. Do you feel you can control it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a room. I rent a cheap room
You rent
from
a
a partner.
Yes.
Of sorts. I mean, we've been engaging for I think 8 years now.
8 years.
Yeah. I mean, that's not nothing.
That's some kind of a record for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is,
Yeah.
and a good return because I only spent 3 hours on OkCupid. My sister was there.
Your sister was there.
Yeah, whenever I got back from Oregon, and I was like, well, I think I'm going to be here, and I have some money, so time to look for a girlfriend. And
Okay.
yeah, I got OkCupid, filled out my information, and found this partner in 3 hours.
Have you in your life ever thought about having a child?
Yeah.
Okay. When was that?
I know.
You really?
Yeah, I could see it.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. But then, after we broke up, and I chose art over the pastry chef at the Ritz-Carlton. I was poor as a chef. I was really poor as an artist, and yeah, I couldn't afford a child, so no. I wanted a vasectomy desperately, but I wasn't engaging with anyone for about a decade whenever I was traveling around plein air painting. So, and then when I got together with my partner, I got a vasectomy pretty quickly.
Okay. Well,
yeah. And
I respect the fact that you feel, understood that you wouldn't be a good father.
Right.
At this moment.
Yeah, I could barely provide for myself. The idea of
yes,
having to provide for someone else, it would have forced me to not be an artist.
It would have forced you to get into a a job you would not be happy with.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay. All right.
And not paid. Well, I mean, I liked being a pastry cook at the Ritz-Carlton in New Orleans. I didn't like the $10 an hour.
Right.
Um,
That's understandable.
yeah.
Now, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Retired, because I'm going to have been president and like writing books, I don't know, signing autographs.
Signing autographs.
Or
Or
working in a grocery store, you know, or managing a cemetery, you know,
Okay.
or I have many interests.
if you don't become president,
Uh-huh.
do you think you'll be able to provide for yourself financially, say when you are 65 years old?
If I don't become president, if Donald Trump or Kamala Harris become president, I don't think that 65 is going to matter for me. I don't have high hopes for the country going in either of those directions. That's why I'm running, because it's, you know.
That's why you're running.
Yeah, because somebody's got to do something, and I thought Kennedy was going to do it, and then he didn't. And I understand his frustration with the DNC. What they did was horrible, and the mainstream media is like, I didn't hear about him except until your husband died. That's crazy. I thought he was great. You know, I should have heard about him running for president before then, on NPR or blips of CNN or Fox or something, you know, but there was nothing.
Yes.
He's a Kennedy.
Yes, I agree with you. And
yeah,
now
and he's a good candidate.
And now all I'm hearing is Kennedy.
Well, cool.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
So, anyways, you're going to edit this out, right? My so
sure,
and my
it
anyways.
doesn't. Yeah, I want you to be relaxed. So of course. Yeah.
I am relaxed. I am.
You seem relaxed.
Surprisingly, I am relaxed because I don't like being in this position, really.
Of interviewing. Of a.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And by the way, your face is much more visible now.
Oh, thank you.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
I know you've had problems with any father figure that you've had. Has there been anybody in your life that you would consider a father figure?
Captain Picard.
Captain Picard.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, why would you say that?
Not the early episodes, but later in the series. I just liked how he dealt with difficult moral questions. So, you know, so I respected him, and because I really feel like my father and stepfather were not good role models. You know,
But you couldn't go to Captain Picard and ask him questions.
in my head, I could. You know, you create what's called an introject, and it can be a person. Most introjects are people, but it can also be a fictional character. And it's like you have a model of what Captain Picard is. You make that model in your head, and you interact with it.
So you could emulate him.
Sure, I run simulations. I run all, like, because I have autism, and you know, I don't have the natural skill of understanding what another person's thinking and experiencing. I've had to run extensive simulations, and especially complicated ones because of the amount of people I've been surrounded with that are dealing with trauma.
Okay. You've had lots of experiences in your life.
I have. That's true.
What would be the most memorable experience in your life?
Memorable. I don't know. I haven't really rated my experiences. Like, memory is intense. probably abuse, particular abuse from.
That's when I say memorable, I mean maybe a good memory, one of your best memories.
Oh, I was just saying like the most intense that remains in my head, the best memory, like a good, positive. I remember getting my minivan. That was like, it felt like a huge step. I didn't have a car for 10 years in New Orleans. And Katrina happened. I was up here for Katrina. If you remember, I was unloading my stuff because I was planning to do the minivan trip anyway. I went back to Katrina, but I was unloading my stuff and planning on living in the minivan, which I did for a decade and traveling around. And buying the minivan, getting in the minivan, and it was like this was the start of the design of a new phase of my life, which was really, it was a difficult but worth it.
Enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean there were aspects of it that were enjoyable. There were aspects of it that were torture, too. I mean, it's living in a minivan. So I'm plein air painting across the country and in Mexico.
And that was enjoyable.
Some of it was very difficult and treacherous. It was, it was living in a minivan, trying to make a living selling paintings on the road. It was very challenging, and I had to be dependent on people, and people would take advantage of that dependency. Bob, damn, I'll edit that out. The stepfather, you're desperate. I'll do anything. Yeah, I need to fix the minivan. What do you need me to do here, sir? And I don't want to be in that position to be like, I want to work on my terms.
You don't want to be dependent on.
No, a huge independent streak in this rabbit.
Okay.
For sure. I was independent up until 2 years ago, when I was like, I can't stand any of the Democrats, and I'm not voting against a person, so like, maybe I can vote in a primary to get somebody that I could stand behind, and I didn't even get to do that. With the Democrats anointing Kamala Harris.
Yes.
Yeah, it's undemocratic. It's frightening. Both sides are frightening. I mean, they're both right. They're like the fascists and the commie.
You don't want to say those things on.
No,
you don't.
It'll hurt the algorithm, I'm sure.
Oh, okay. All right.
No.
Do you think you're ever going to get over your disdain for your father?
Yeah, I know you keep saying that, and it's not true. I don't have a disdain for him. I actually feel bad for him, I felt bad for him. He's gone now, but I understand how he got to the point where he could do those things, and I don't think he would ever come to terms with it and admit it, and he wanted to continue to. It's called gaslighting, to make me believe and the rest of the family believe that it never happened. And I'm not going to engage in that. I'm not going to condone the gaslighting. And it's not like I needed an apology from you. I didn't need anything. I didn't need a recognition from him. And I said that in the last letter that I wrote to him by hand, that, look, we won't talk about politics. We won't talk about economics. We won't talk about religion. I just want to be able to come over there with my sister. And I didn't even get that. So what bothers me is your opinion of me, that I'm holding this grudge against him, and I keep explaining it over and over and over again that I don't have a grudge. When you asked me what was my most memorable, memorable memory?
Yeah.
When you said that, I interpret it. I have autism. Sometimes I take things like literally,
yes,
differently than people. And I thought the most intense, like I can close my eyes and I can see it scene by scene by scene. And it's because it happened and I've relived it in nightmares and, wrote it down, read it, I know you can go review it and you can make stuff up, but it like, that's what's good about writing things down. It locks it in. So it's like separate from your brain. And I did that, and that's part of like all the art that I've made is I get excited about subjects. So,
Yes, you do.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just.
But it's all right.
Yeah, great questions, Mom. Thank you very much. You were, yeah.
Did I surprise you?
No, I was like, I mean, I didn't know if you were going to do it or not because you were, you know, worried about not having questions. But.
Every mother is concerned about their child and their welfare.
Mhm.
And
Not everyone, but
well, most.
yeah, the good ones.
The most mothers. And I'm concerned that what is going to, that's why I asked you where you saw yourself at 65. And
I don't know, like,
now what I'm concerned about is, I'm concerned about myself because I am getting to be older, which I don't consider myself older until I go and look at photographs and think, who is that old lady there? But I am concerned about a child that perhaps is not going to be able to care for himself as he becomes older.
Yeah. You should have that concern for a lot of Americans, just not your child.
Yeah, but
'Cause,
you're my child.
I mean, we have a home. Yes, I know, and all the homeless people also are children of someone. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's a major concern. It's unaffordable to live. I'm well aware of that. You know, I spent an exorbitant amount going to culinary school that it took me 20 years to pay back $100 a month at a time, making $10 an hour at 20 jobs that all had no future unless you became servant to the owners. And once I learned everything on the line that I was interested in, you know, this restaurant's paying exactly the same. So like, why stay there for 6 years and not learn something new, not have new experiences, not get away from the things that are bugging you to death there, and wait until those things at the new job bug you to death? But yeah, I you know, I could, I don't have, you know, I can run a cash register.
Okay.
So as long as, you know, if it gets to that point where I can't have a roommate because you know, I couldn't have an apartment by myself door dashing right now. Yeah, making $250 gross a week at a very dangerous job. But you know, the reason I'm doing it is because of it enables me to do this.
Yes. And you're truly enjoying yourself doing this, aren't you?
It's also enjoyable and difficult. And I mean, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think that there was a chance that I could be successful. I believe that there's 80 million people that are going to vote red or close to it, and 80 million people that are going to vote blue, and then there's 150 million Americans that are like, just like me, like going, where's the other option? It's horrible, and you know, I have a platform.
I see that.
Yeah, I just did it this morning.
Yes.
Stole half of it from Kennedy. I want him as my VP.
Oh, it's a good platform. A lot of good.
Well, thank you.
A lot of good thoughts. A lot of good thoughts.
Yeah.
So
here's my motorcycle rack. I got to get my. It's a good timing. Yeah.
yes.
FedEx
excellent.
has arrived and I got some work to do.
You do have some work to do. So perhaps we should end this conversation now.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Mom. It was a pleasure. I don't think I'll have to edit out all that much.
Not too much. It was only one so.
Yep. Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.